Welcome to the LinkUp Podcast special episode. With us in studio today, we have no stranger to the arts, culture, and music scene, local musician celebrity. You see him rapping and acting on stage and behind the camera as well. Recently, I see you out there on YouTube with the young man Alejandro Borden, I think his name is. Yeah. Yeah, he's doing his thing out there. Mikhail, thank you. And director at the Cayman Drama Society, Caroline.
Yes.
Did I say that right?
That's right.
Okay, excellent. Welcome, and thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, Mikhail, I must say, there's few people that have done more with less to promote arts, music, and culture than you have. You have put on, I believe, two different open mic sessions. That first one went like wildfire when you started at Parcel 110, and then it moved out into the waterfront by Cabana, I think, at one point in time.
Yeah, they were doing it there for
a
while.
Yeah, man, that was super popular. Now you brought it back again now.
Yeah, so the first one was a collaboration between me, or it started as a collaboration between me and the folks at Parcel 110.
Yeah.
And then they kind of took it and ran with it. So they were doing it every week, I think, for a few months. And then their business kind of tapered off now. So I decided I wanted to continue doing something like that. So we started up at D Music Studio on Crew Road. So we're doing that every first Wednesday of the month.
And that's open if you can rap, sing, poetry, play an instrument.
Yeah, anything.
Strum it.
Performing.
Yeah.
Like, back in the Parcel 110 days, we had even had some dancers come and do some stuff. And then we've had people do even stand-up comedy. So it's open to
anybody in the arts.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Cool.
So you guys got a new endeavor now?
Yeah.
Well,
I'll let Caroline.
You got a new endeavor now?
Coming up, but it's not new. It's been in the works for over a year, for me anyway. A little less so for the actors and the crew. But yeah, it's opening next week.
Is this your director's debut?
No, I directed something here before, and I've directed stuff in the UK.
Okay, what did you do here before?
It was called Mort. It was back in the olden days.
What's the olden days, like the early 2000s?
I think it was 2007.
That's not the olden days. That was just yesterday.
It feels like the olden days.
20 years ago. Holy.
7 years ago.
It was long enough ago that we didn't have any social media marketing. We did everything in person. All of the marketing was live on the roundabout by Hurley's.
So between then and now, that was the last play that you actually had full charge of and directed. Why the delay and why now?
In 2008, my son went to college, and I thought, well, I never went, so I'll go too. And I went.
Okay, that's how it is.
So I went to drama school, and
really?
Went to the UK. My son went to college in the UK. I went with him. He was terrified we were going to share a bag. And I did a bunch of TV and movies and stuff in the UK. And then I moved back here in 2013. And since then, I was a flight attendant, so couldn't do anything because you never know what your roster is going to be. And so I just did bits here and there. I helped out. And then once I stopped flying, then I threw myself right back into full-time at the theatre. And I'm usually Mrs. Claus.
Oh, really?
At the Christmas show.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was terrified of flying for the longest time. I've gotten a lot better now. But yeah, I had to be like medicated. I had a prescription for Xanax. I used to I couldn't sleep for like days before. I would try to bleach, stay up the entire night just to be tired so I could try to sleep on the plane.
Yeah.
It was terrible, man. But now I'm a lot better now. I'm way better. It took a long time though.
Especially if you're flying Cayman Airways, you have no worries. Our pilots, my son being one of them.
Oh yeah, your son's a pilot there?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
We like to make it a family affair, whatever we do. Yeah. But yeah, he does the same thing. If he's not the one actually flying, so don't worry. Then if he's flying as a passenger, he does the same thing. He stays up all night so that he can sleep as soon as he gets on the plane.
Okay, yeah, I've done my best. But yeah, I've gotten a lot better. I don't really need to be medicated as much now. And yeah. But yeah, I was terrified of flying for years.
That's crazy.
Years. And it just like happened overnight. Like I was cool growing up, and then like when I turned like 16, 17, it just hit me.
Did something happen?
I guess I realized that that planes could crash.
Yeah, that'll do it.
But yeah, okay. So you stopped flight attending, and then you working at the Cayman Drama Society. But you had been there before, right?
Yeah, I've been a member for over 30 years. A lifetime member for 20 something. So
you've done a lot of work with them.
I have. But it's all volunteer, right? With the exception of the artistic director. She is the only employee at the theatre. But everything else is
for the passion.
Volunteer. Yeah, well,
for the heart.
Madness or something.
So then what made you pick this play? What's the name of the play?
It's called The Ancestors.
The Ancestors.
Yeah, and it's a relatively new play. It was only written in 2021. Or at least it was published in 2021. Who knows how long it took her to write it. But I chose this one because we have made a commitment as a theatre to put on things that we are not normally known for. I mean, Prospect Playhouse theatre is traditionally very white, very 1930s, very male. And so we have made a commitment to try and put on things that are, aside from the Christmas show, which is wildly popular, to do more things for children. So we've got a children's show coming up after this one. This one is definitely not for children. And more things that are Caribbean based. I mean, the Hark will put on most of the Caribbean shows, but we're a small community and we want to get into a situation where people can come and watch things that relate to them at any point in the year. So this was there was another play that I had considered, but I felt it might be a little too British, and we were trying to move away from that. And even though the playwright is British, she's British Caribbean.
Okay.
So we wanted to do something a little bit more Caribbean.
And what's kind of the synopsis on this story?
Whew, it's a heavy one.
Because you said it's not for kids.
It's not. Okay. It's not at all. I mean, if you're over 16 or if you're a late teens, like 13, 14, 15, probably it would be okay. But there are some heavy subjects in the show. So it takes place in 1796, and it's stories, different stories that creates one story around the French Haitian Revolution in 1796. So it covers lots of different material, like obviously there was still slavery in those days. It features some actual people like Toussaint Louverture, who is Mikhail's character, André Rigaud. They were generals in the Haitian army, and they have their scenes together. And then there's a band of Maroon warrior women, and some of the characters in that were based on real people, who were not around during the Haitian Revolution, but the playwright based those characters on women who did actually lead revolutions, lead revolts, and were free slaves. So there's a bunch of different stories, and we've got a lot of different elements to it as well. It's not just stage stuff. We have some stuff that's filmed. We have stuff that happens in the audience, and the audience gets to choose the ending for the Maroon Warriors.
Oh.
Yeah. Remember those books back in the day?
Absolutely.
Where you turned page 47. So the audience gets to choose. When they come in, they get to choose what the ending is going to be.
So there's two endings? Three endings.
Yeah, just to
that's
make
actually
things complicated for everyone.
Well, no, that's a nice dynamic to it.
Yeah, so you just scan the QR.
Was it a coincidence
that you come to the play 3 times?
Well, at least it could be more.
Choose 3 different endings.
It could be more. It could be more.
It could be more, just in case you get a different one.
So did this just perfectly by coincidence line up with Emancipation Week?
It actually did, because we were meant to be on last month, but we had we've dragged this production through. We've had so many different things happen. We've had actors drop out. We've had to change the date several times. We've had to change the length of our run, just because, life happens, stuff happens.
Yeah.
So I've dragged it onto the stage because I'm stubborn.
So, Mikhail, how were you there from the beginning, or were you one of the new onboardees?
I wasn't there from the beginning, but me and Caroline have worked together because she was also the assistant director on the first bit I was in, which was Beef No Chicken.
Was that last year or year before?
2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
Which is a play by Sir Derek Walcott in Trinidad. And so she had this role, and she thought I could maybe be good for it. So she reached out to me, and then we kind of discussed, and I agreed to give it a try and see how it went. So I joined just before we did our first table read, which would be when all the cast has kind of been chosen. So it's near to the beginning, but not near to the beginning of the acting process, but not the beginning of obviously the production itself.
So what's it like being an actor in, I guess, a much more serious role now, where you kind of probably got to portray like a lot of heavy emotion, I guess. I don't know exactly the story and stuff, but I can only imagine that you kind of have to go through a bit of a different style of acting.
I think I don't have any huge amount of acting experience, so I kind of just draw on what I know how to do or what I have experience in, and find ways to relate the character to who I am. So with Beef No Chicken, it was a young aspiring calypso artist. And as you know, I'm an artist myself, so that was
relatable. Huh?
Yeah. And then Toussaint, he's a general. So I kind of found he's a general. He's dealing with heavy themes, but he's trying to inspire and get the people to do what he feels is best for the country, for them to ensure their continued freedom, not just their freedom through this one revolt, but to ensure that they can have that forever. So there's a bit of a performative side to him, because he's portraying this image of being the man who knows what's going on, knows what they need to do, has the right plan. And so it's later on in the play, where you get to see more of a more nuanced side of him, a frustrated side, because he's having a disagreement with his fellow general. So the emotions there, I think I was able to find, because I could kind of relate to some of that, and then just bring that forward into what happens later on.
So you were saying that he's a performer a bit. So that means like he kind of gives some inspiring speeches to the troops and stuff and the characters. So you probably have a kind of a long monologue in there.
Yeah. So my part isn't actually that big, but most of it is speaking to the audience as if they are the people he is speaking to.
Okay.
And the other thing is that they're all of my scenes are with another actor, Ben Tatum, who's playing Andre Rigaud, and their scenes are in verse, kind of. So there are rhymes in there as well. So I know, like Caroline, for her, it was a big inspiration was Hamilton. Yeah. So it's not quite the same as that, because we're not doing it to music, but there's a certain rhythmic quality to what we're doing. So which makes it easier for me to learn my lines, because I'm used to learning rhymes anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so some of it is like inspirational speeches and saying like we should do this, or this is what's going to happen next. So he's giving them news and updates, and he's saying these are our choices, but he's also doing it in a way where it's like, this is what we need to do, or what we're going to do. So he's trying to convince the people to take a certain path, and that relates to how the endings get chosen as well.
Yep.
I know everybody has like different methodology of how they can like remember lines and stuff. I know like whenever I like made a speech and I didn't want to read from it, I would literally like pace up and down my room, just like saying it to myself over and over and over again, just like for hours. Other people can just like read it and remember it.
Those are usually young people.
What are you trying to say? So what's kind of like your style of trying to get the memorize your lines
I definitely
again?
need to repeat them over and over again.
And then also like kind of remember your mannerisms and stuff. And
yeah,
I guess it's different because in speech writing and acting, you actually kind of have to
Yeah,
you have to match the two, right? And your inflections and your tone and all that stuff.
So for me personally, I don't know if it's the same for others, but because before I did any acting, I was like, how can I learn all these lines and portray this emotion to feel this thing that I don't feel in the moment necessarily?
Right.
But what I realized, like any other performance, for me, is about preparation. So you just go through it and you repeat it and you figure it out as you go. So you don't need to know you don't need to figure out the lines and how you're going to deliver them and your placement or your blocking, which is where you're moving the scene all at once. You take things one at a time and you practice them and get them sorted out. So it's an intellectual process for me too, because I like to think about the characters, and what they would be feeling and what feels true for them, and then try and portray that as opposed to just being in the moment and letting it come naturally, because that doesn't work as well for me.
Do you use Line Learner?
Yeah.
Does that help you?
What is that?
For sure.
What is that?
Line Learner is an app that actors sometimes use to record their own lines, and they can also record their cues. I wish we'd had this when I was younger. And you can just listen to it constantly then, and you can speed it up or slow it down.
Oh, so you just have it always playing.
Whenever, if you live as far away as I do, then, you've got long drive into town, then you can just carry on playing it over and over again and learn your lines that way. That's not how I learn my lines, though.
So as like a director and stuff, and you have your actors on stage, what are some of like your strategies and stuff you use to like, because obviously like you have a vision of what you want to be seen, and they have to understand what that is, and you kind of got to pull that out of them and push them in what direction you want them to go in. What's that like process like?
So because I'm the person who's sat with this play for the longest, I kind of know the characters inside out as well. And because this had a really historical element, one of the things I did right at the very beginning was we have group chats, and because this is a little different as well from normal shows that we have done, I could rehearse everybody separately, like in their little groups. So the Maroon Warriors in one group, the Someones in one group, Toussaint and Andre in another group. So we created small groups. But in the main group, we put lots of history stuff in there. We put stuff about Toussaint Louverture in there. We didn't put anything about Andre in there. But we put stuff about Portchester Castle, because lots of it takes place in Portchester Castle. So that kind of got people interested in the history, and that led to character development, because if they could understand because a couple of the characters are slaves who are prisoners of war in Portchester Castle. So if they could understand what these people's lives were like then, that brings their character on a little better. And like the Maroon Warrior girls, we did a whole lot of girl power stuff, because their section is just women. And so we kind of like built up their courage. Some of them were very shy. Most of our actors, the majority of our actors for this production, are brand new actors.
So you really had a challenge.
Yeah, but I could mold them. What I wanted. I mean, to be fair, now that we're...
But that's a skill set, though, is to take something that's completely like that's brand new and turn it into something.
Yeah, and it's been exciting. I mean, we are obviously working with limited resources. We're not Hollywood, and so we've done all of the set ourselves, but putting it into what I saw in my head was virtually impossible, because I have grandiose ideas.
Right.
But
working with what you have.
Yeah, and what we're seeing now, especially in the last 2 weeks, I would say, now that we've mostly got the set and people mostly have their lines, and we've got the lights and everything, it's really exciting.
You guys in a rhythm now, huh?
Yeah, and I can't wait for there to be an audience, because the audience are the descendants. So the ancestors are the people on stage, and the descendants are the audience. So we're talking to the audience, and we're kind of leading them to understand that history repeats itself but we need to be aware of the things that are not good to be repeated.
Yeah.
And like, what can we do to not have the terrible things be repeated?
So what's kind of like the runtime of the show?
Right now we're thinking about an hour 45, but
Okay.
there is an intermission as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hour 40. That's a good amount of time.
Do you know what? And it sounds long, but
Well, in
it's
terms of like
because-
just coordinating and getting everybody, like that's
Yeah.
I was just thinking, man, that is challenging.
we have a great backstage crew.
Yeah.
So, you know, once we're up on the stage, then Sin Powell is our stage manager, and she runs that like she is.
Yeah.
Like, chick, chick, chick. This is what you're doing.
Hey, you need
You
a
better be
team,
there.
man. You need a team. And one thing I've learned over the past 4 years of doing this show and stuff is that without a team,
Yeah.
this thing is going nowhere.
I am super
Absolutely.
grateful for my team. Like they have like held me up when I felt like I was going to fall down. I love them. They're amazing.
Yeah. You think you want to do more acting in the future and stuff now?
Me, I mean, yeah, I'm open to it.
'Cause I see. I mean, you're
If the role is
the YouTube-
interesting,
Yeah.
and if the time allows, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
it's been fun. Like the first time I did it for Beef No Chicken.
That was your first acting like role.
Yeah.
Blew us away. It was amazing.
No.
We're like, how is this his first time?
But I think just being a performer anyway, like there's obviously a lot of overlap. Because
And then like
you're on
obviously stage fright isn't as bad for you because I mean
Right.
you've performed from a little crowd in the club down to the big stage on waterfront and
Yeah.
up. You performed the Greens before?
Not yet, but
Okay, soon come.
Soon.
We manifest that. But I remember in Georgetown by Fort from call it Seafarers Way now.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Pirates Week. Yeah, man. Yeah, so it's a fun thing. I remember the first time I went for the first show. Because you used to be on stage, but this is different. So it was a different kind of nerves. And then after the first show, I was like, that was cool, but I think I prefer like the music. But then by the end of it, I was like, yeah, man, I'll do this again. So
Yeah.
so
Auditions for what happened in the next week.
we'll see. But
You think you could do like a comedic character?
Oh.
probably.
Yeah.
To me, once this, like, my comedy is very reactive. So, like, just as a person, like, I just drop a one-liner in response to what somebody said. I can't go up there and do a comedy routine.
Yeah.
But if I have a script and the script is funny, I think I can make it work.
Yeah. That would
I
be
think
awesome.
you could too.
That'd be awesome. So what are the time, place,
All right.
tickets?
So we're at Prospect Playhouse Theatre, which is in Red Bay. The show opens on the 15th and we run Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So 15, 16, 17. And then the following week, which is the 22nd, 23rd, 24th.
Oh.
Show, so curtains up is at 7:30, but don't come at 7:30.
You gotta get there before 7.
So doors open at 6:30, and we actually will start the show in the foyer before the curtains go up. So, we're
like
throwing all of the elements in.
Okay.
So we've got a little bit of performance in the foyer before the doors to the auditorium open. So come early. Get your tickets from cds.ky. We also have... because this is a relatively new play, people won't be familiar with it. I would be very surprised if anyone has seen it before, but they should see it because it's amazing. We have a special price because it's not one of the well-known ones, so the tickets are only $20 instead of $30. And then on Thursday, the 22nd, we also have an initiative that helps bring people into the theatre who may never have been to the theatre before. We've got a pay what you can day, and you'll find that on the CDS website as well. And we have tiers of $5, $10, and $15. You can obviously pay the $20 if you feel like it's going to be worth it. It is going to be worth it. So, but it just helps get people in who might be a bit wary about our theatre, or as I say, who have never been to the theatre before. And this is a great way to not make too massive of an investment to come in, and then when we get you in, we'll just keep you.
How many cast members are there?
Millions, it feels like. There are 35 people involved. So I think the cast is 22 people.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's a big cast, but we've got different elements.
Yeah.
So there's the filmed element. Those people have done their bits and gone on their way. And then we've got 6, 7, 8, 10, I think 12 or 13 people on stage. It's big.
Okay. Well, best of luck. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And hopefully, after this, we'll start to see you more.
Yep.
Eventually you make it on the big screen.
Maybe.
Yeah, man. We'll get you out there, man. So thank you guys for joining. I appreciate that so much. And I will be out there for sure to come and watch.
We're glad to have
I'm excited for this.
Thank you.
Dave, you can take us out. All right, man. Whether you're at home, driving to work, from work, at work, doing work, not doing work, we thank you for listening and tuning in. Find us at PodLinkUp on IG or on YouTube at the LinkUp Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time.